DJ Dewey Rock on the track.
Welcome to Emerge Podcast 360. I'm your host, Maserati. We want to thank you for tuning in. No matter where you are in this metaverse world, we're going to continue to bring you the best quality content and form that we know how. We want to thank you for all the likes and shares on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and YouTube thus far. We once again want to thank you for tuning in. We got a great show in line for you. We have a very special guest, a fourth generational farmer. He's the general of the Hill family farm. Yes, indeed. We have Mr. Odis C. Hill. He's the Morehouse Economic Development Chair of the Morehouse Parish Southern University Agriculture Program. He's the 1981 Delta graduate. He's a Southern University alumni where he majored in ag economics and graduated in 1986. He's a fourth generation farmer, former employee, 19 years at IP International Paper. He's the assistant area county agent for Morehouse and Union Parish at Southern University Agriculture Center. He's the deacon at St. Luke Missionaries Baptist Church of Bonita, Louisiana. He's married to Miss Tammy Hill, where he has two sons, O'Brien and Denham, with over 33 years of farming. Ladies and gentlemen, the general of the Hill family farm, Mr. Odis C. Hill. How you doing today, Mr. Hill?
Good evening, Mr. Odom. How you doing?
We're glad to have you on. It's a privilege and an honor to have you here. You know, I know a little bit about the culture that you have down in Bonita with the Hill place. Kind of tell us how it was growing up for you up on the Hill place.
It was very, very exciting. I guess I always been a country boy and I always kind of wanted to farm, you know. I would be so happy to get out of school and being able to work on the farm. So I almost would work for free, man. Dad didn't really have to pay me, even though he was paying me. But as far as cash money, you know, I was good.
Right. So what was it like and how did you actually get into it? Were you doing it as a little boy or was it something that you gradually started to grab hold to?
Well, you know, it was something I was born into. I've been doing it all my life. I guess I was driving a tractor probably when I was 6 or 7. So, man, I've been around it all my life.
Right. So kind of tell us, up on the Hill place, what are actually some of the crops that the Hill farm grows and how many acres are you actually farming on site?
You know, Odom, traditionally we started out growing cotton. Cotton was king. We planted cotton from ton row to ton row. And then the cost of inputs got extremely high, so we went to start growing grain. We went to start growing corn and soybeans. We also grow sweet corn and a few peas.
Okay. Now, we know, I remember you had a program that you were teaching in the school system about planting, was it on paper? Kind of inform me about that program you once had with the school system, Morehouse Parish.
Well, it really wasn't a program. We was implementing gardens, and also we would encourage the kids to come from Delta and Bastrop and Beekman to a program where we would be talking about the opportunities of agriculture, where they could go on and go to college and major in different fields in agriculture.
Okay. We know it's a trend going on now with the rodeoing. I noticed that your youngest son, he's off into that now. How do you feel about especially young black farmers with the agriculture now? What would you like to see the future be with the youngsters with the agriculture?
Well, you know, we would love to see more kids get involved in agriculture. The type of agriculture that we doing, it's a very difficult profession because you're either born into it or you're going to marry into it. It's very difficult to just start from scratch. Cost of inputs is so high. The access of land is It's in the negative, so it's very difficult to really get started in agriculture. I would love to see Bastard how to have a rodeo team. Man, we got some kids now, boy. They at 4 or 5, they twirling a rope, and they pretty good at it. So I would love to see them start a rodeo team. These kids can go on rodeo in high school and go on and get a scholarship in rodeo. Lamarcus Payne, he went to Monticello on scholarship rodeo. And we got some good kids here, real good kids that can compete. So it won't be something new. We got some kids they can knock a home run with a rodeo, with a rope.
Right. I think Coach Bradshaw kind of mentioned that on a previous interview I had with him. But I want to ask you, Mr. Hill, with your experience, what would you, I would say, what's your biggest challenge facing with the Black Farmers Association in agriculture? And I want to know, how are you tackling it to curb the narrative of how people feel about farming, period?
Well, I guess my biggest tactic is to encourage young people to look at the profession of agriculture. Just encourage them that it's more to agriculture than out there just working in the fields. You have people that's veterinarians, that's a part of agriculture. People that's working for major chemical companies like the Bayer, the Tyson, Foster Farms, not Monsanto anymore because Bayer's Monsanto, but like Nutrient Ag, Helen Chemicals. All of those chemicals are big-time chemicals, and it's just a great opportunity. People working for USDA agencies. That's federal and local agencies. So it's more to it than just getting out there and just working in the field, even though, don't get me wrong now, we need some young African-American farmers. But just to inform them that it's more to it than just getting out there working in the field. Agriculture is a profession. In 1890, they decided to make universities to teach us about agriculture. The Southern University Ag Center, Arkansas Pine Bluff, Tennessee State, Tuskegee, Alcorn. All those universities were designed to teach people about agriculture. A&M University, agriculture and mechanical engineering.
Right. So, what's your biggest challenge? Because I know you're very involved in trying to keep the Black farmers abreast of what's going on. What's your biggest challenge, Mr. Hill, to keep the funding here, to keep the motivation with your Black farmers, and to keep a healthy crop? What is your biggest challenge in doing that?
Well, here again, Odom, the biggest challenge is just trying to get the youth involved. Pretty much, we as African-American farmers as locally, we pretty much established. We able to get credit. I mean, one of the challenges is getting access to good land. All the good land is taken up. It's just very difficult to grow. My son, he want a farm, but I just don't see him making it on 400 acres. Honestly, if he gonna farm, be a full-time farmer, he need to be farming at least 1,000 acres. The cost of inputs, the cost of equipment, the equipment that's required, he needs to be at least farming 1,000 acres to really cash flow and not work anywhere else. So that's the biggest challenge, getting young people involved and access to good land. All land is not good land.
Right. And I know you know a little bit about refurbishing the soil. Kind of tell us what are some of your, if you don't mind sharing, I know it's a recipe to the madness, but if you don't mind sharing, what are some of your techniques to refurbishing the soil?
Well, it's really not my technique, but we need to try to get your land level. And if you don't have an irrigation well, you need to be trying to look as far as getting an irrigation well implemented, because you can water, some years is just going to be dry regardless of how much you pray, how much you call on the Lord, we're just not going to get in the rain. And it's real nice when you can go in there and flip that switch and turn that water on. So it's very important to be able to irrigate and irrigate properly with good land level. The Natural Resource Conservation Service offer programs where you can get your land level, but you must be able to afford your own irrigation well. That means you have to pay for your own irrigation well.
Okay. So you said the funding and the programs are there to help us out, but I go back to what you were saying a few minutes ago. I think that the deterrent, for lack of better words, is I think it sounds like you have to have more land to keep up with the technology of the equipment, because it's kind of sound like it's backwards to me. The more technology, the more land. Am I kind of on track of? Does that make sense?
Odom, you are on track. You are on track. You know, I carry 8 rows. The trend now is you carrying 12 rows or above. And of course, a 12-row planter is going to cost more than an 8-row planter. You know, that means it requires more money. So you must have enough acres to justify for the 12-row equipment.
Wow. So not only is technology taking homeland jobs, but technology is destroying itself. It sounds like to me it's moving farmers out the way for technology. It sounds like I feel what you're saying about you don't want your son to just have 400 acres, because the equate of the progress of farming and the cost, it's kind of like he'll just be breaking even if he doesn't expand the land.
If he'll break even as a full-time farmer, 400 acres, I don't think it's justifiable enough to make a decent living off of. You know, I farmed and I worked another job for like 33 years. So that other job was able me to carry on. Just out there just farming 400 acres and doing nothing else, I don't think. Now, maybe he can make it work, but I don't think that's enough to justify. I think you need to be at 1,000 acres. You know, that way you can justify for the cost of the equipment, the cost of the labor that you're going to have. That's what I think is required, because equipment is going up, you know, chemicals is going up, fertilizer is constantly going up. Don't get me wrong, it's not required as far as number of people working on the farm on today's farming operation, but the cost is extremely astronomical expensive.
Yes, I mean that's very understandable. And it kind of sounds like that it's more of a passion down the road than a necessity with how technology is going. Before we go to intermission break, I want to know this, Mr. Odis. What is the biggest lesson you've learned thus far with farming?
You know, my daddy told me a long time ago, he said, every year is not going to be the same. You're going to have some good years, and then you're going to have 2 or 3 bad years. So it's got to be a profession that you really love, and you really got to be willing to work with those bad years, praying and hoping that you're going to have a good year. I've had good years, and I've had bad years. But through the Lord's help, I was able to continue on. So you got to have that passion, and you got to just love agriculture.
Right, that's understandable. We're going to take this intermission break. We'll be right back with the General Hill Family Farm, Mr. Odis C. Hill, when we return. We're back. We're back with the general of the Hill Family Farm of Bonita, Louisiana, Brother Odis. Looking through a glass for this second half of this segment, I want to get your thoughts on where do you see Morehouse Parish community in the next 3 to 5 years, or what would you like to see the community?
You know, Odom, I hope we have a better education system. You know, I'm thinking right now we are either a D school or F school. I'm hoping that can move up to a C or a B school. You know, I just hope we have a better education and better infrastructure structure. You know, we need better roads, man. You know, we have trucks traveling up and down the roads, and they just deteriorating our roads. You know, if we had better roads, we could attract industry. You know, the kids can get back and forth with the bus driver a lot faster, home and to school. Just if we could just come up with a better infrastructure, I would just love to see that in this community.
Well, it's important that you said that, Mr. Hill, about infrastructure. I think that's the deterioration of what's the last straw, as people say, that broke the camel back, what causes people to move away. But I want to get this from you. How do you feel about the migration of people leaving the farmland? Like you said, maybe leaving some fertile land to have this city experience. Is that part of why black farming is deteriorating too, a migration to the cities?
You know, Odom, I think that's some of it. But everybody can't stay on the farm due to the technology. You know, everybody cannot stay on the farm, because if you stay on the farm, that means that you got 5 acres here. This family got 5 acres. This family got 10 acres. That way, the other farmer can't really grow. You know, I'm farming 400 acres. That's probably of my family members. If everybody stayed on the farm, man, the farm would be very small, and they would not be able to justify the cost and the inputs of today's prices. So everybody cannot stay on the farm. The people that left the farm, they was able to go up north and get outstanding jobs because they had that farming experience, that work habit that they developed on the farm.
Right. It's sad to hear that, Brother Odis, you know, because I grew up around you all my life, up on the Hill place, know a lot about it. It just seems like I'm going through a time warp where I remember everybody could eat off the Hill place when I was a child. And you telling me now if you don't take the crop and make every dollar, it's gonna go under. That's a scary thought, Brother Odis. How are you feeling in your mind about the future of farming from your perspective?
Well, you know, I think it's going to prosper, and it's sad to say, but the bigger farmers going to make it. They're going to make it. The smaller farmers, they're going to have to make it with that second job, you know, that off-the-farm job. That's going to be the only way I think that they're going to make it. They're not going to be able to just make it just out there, just taking a chance on farming. Farming is a very big risk, very big risk. And you kind of got to know really what you're doing, because a bad year, a real bad year, will take you completely out of business.
Right, I can hear in your voice how serious this thing has really gotten. I mean, I'm sitting here in Oz just listening to you saying that it's possible that your boys' 400 acres won't be enough. Well, answer me this, Mr. Odis. Who has been the most influential person to you outside the family? Because I can hear it in your voice. Somebody has been keeping you motivated and self-driven through the years. Who has been the most influential person? It doesn't have to be a farmer. Who has been that person to keep you drove?
Well, you know, I guess I'm just part of agriculture. I guess I'm all wrapped up in it. And I guess it's going to have to be a farmer. You know, I want to say Harper Armstrong. And I also have a partner that's named Dr. Dwayne Goldman. You know, he started out on the farm just like I did. He went on and got a BS from the University of Arkansas, went to Iowa, and went on and got his PhD. and he's back farming part-time like I am, and he's also working for USDA in Washington. So I would have to say Harper Armstrong, Dwayne Goldman, Antoine Downs, all of those individuals help encourage me to continue on and help influence my life, I want to say, as far as the agricultural aspect of it.
Right. So it's still a lot of healthy farms around here. It's still a lot of able-bodied black farmers around here. But Brother Odis, I want to know from your experience, what has become the most difficult thing to walk away from in this farming industry?
Well, Odom, if you get wrapped up like I am, man, and you owe a lot of people, it's just hard to just walk away from it because, you study fighting, pay everybody, and you just study fighting, and a lot of times it don't happen in 1 year, so you got to hang on to pay them out, then I'm saying he's going to come back and farm, maybe so, but where is that going to put me? If he come back and farm, I still got to farm at least 100 acres, so you got to hang in there to try to get everybody cleared up, and then maybe you can walk away from it. One thing they say about farmers, a farmer never quit. Farmer died farming.
Right, and that's the sound of it. Like if you walk away, you're doomed, and if you stay too long and don't make the money, you're doomed. Well, what's one thing that you're most proud of that you accomplished in over your 33 years and 300 plus acres of farming? What are you most proud of, Mr. C?
One of the things I'm most proud of, Odom, I took a chance on having somebody else's property, a cousin's property. I took a chance on putting an irrigation well down. And without land leveling, in some cases, you're really not doing any good. So then I took a chance on having the land level. Then a couple years ago, my wife and I was able to purchase this 44 acres of land, which is now a blessing through the blessing of the Lord. The land is paid for. So that's one thing that I've accomplished over my 33 years. Putting the irrigation well down, having the land level, then being able to purchase the land. And we was able to do all of that out of our cash flow of money.
Right. And I noticed that you did several speaking engagements for the Black Landowners, the Black Farmers Association, and I seen an article with you, I think it was with the Delta Farm Press. What was that event about? I seen there was a lot of black farmers there. That was 2017? What year was that? I saw that article. What was that event about? I saw a lot of black farmers there. What were you speaking to them about?
Odom, I don't remember what year it was, but every year we have this field day, and we have farmers come all across the South. They come from Virginia, Georgia, Florida. They come all across the South to look at this field day. And what we're doing is we're doing demonstrations. We plant different varieties of crops, just trying to determine which is the best crop to be planted on this particular farm. We have different ag agencies there, different people in the ag industries, USDA be there. And the biggest thing is we get a chance to build relationships. 40 years ago, African-American row crop farmers probably don't have the relationships that we have at this present time. So that's what this is out. This is what this event is about. And also, ours be a little different because we're able to invite kids and try to encourage them and let them know the importance of agriculture. Right.
And I was about to get into about the youth. I saw an event you have on site at the Hill Places. Are we talking about the same event?
It's the same event. We've been having it on the Hill Place for like the last 5 years, 2022 was the 20th year having this event. Mr. Armstrong had it for like 15 years at his farm, and hopefully somebody else will take it up next year. Hopefully this was the last year to have it on Hill's farm, and hopefully another farmer will keep carrying on this tradition.
Right. So the support, I'm trying to make sense of it all. So it's pretty much black farmers need to support each other and aid each other with helping the younger generation understand the necessity of being able to feed yourself. Am I correct, Mr. Hill?
You are correct, Odom. You know, at the end of the day, man, all of it boils back to agricultural, man. You know, we got to have food. It's no question. There's no way around it. We got to have clothes. You know, all that is necessity and must things that we must have. So, you know, we got to encourage the African Americans to look at the different opportunities in agriculture.
Right. So it's kind of like I'm understanding more and more just listening to you, and I'm seeing something deteriorate, but yet and still something can be so rich if we were to get the younger kids involved and get them to understand. Because, see, I think they're afraid of the labor. And like you explained earlier, it's so many avenues that they can take working with the USDA. It's so many ways that they can take to get into agriculture, but I think they don't know how to get in there. What are some of your plans on showing them new ways and new innovative ways to implement their skills and their education into agriculture without necessarily having to go to college?
You know, I guess through communication, you know, bringing other people in, talking to them, letting them know that there are opportunities, you know, and we encourage to go to college just in case farming do not work out. You can always fall back on that degree. You know, even if you have to go for work for USDA or if you have to go to work for one of the major chemical companies. So we do encourage it, you know, but you don't necessarily have to go if you got a good fellow farmer or if you're born into the farming operation. You can still do real well and make a decent living if you got a big enough farm.
Right, we're gonna take another intermission, Mr. Hill. But when we come back for the last 10 minutes or so, we want to know if you could choose a way that you could get your hands in with the community outside of farming. What would that be? We're going to take an intermission, and we'll be right back with the General Hill Family Farm. Mr. Odis C. Hill. We're back. Emerge 360. We're glad you're still with us. We're still here with the General Hill Family Farm. Mr. Odis, before we went to intermission, if you could get in this field of helping rebirth the community, what way outside of farming would that be? If you could help, in what way would you choose to do it?
Well, you know, I'm really not a politician. I'm really not. But I am thinking about running for school board member. And the way that I can help this community is trying to better a better education for the youth. And it goes beyond the young people as far as the education. You know, you got to look at the teachers. You got to look at the bus drivers. You got to look at the janitorial. So I'm interested in trying to better education among all people that's involved in education.
Right. Now, you mentioned that you're thinking about possibly running for school board. Am I correct? Is that what you said?
That's correct. District 5. I'm a candidate for District 5.
Wow. Now, is this something that you've been contemplating for a while, or you just see it's a need at this stage of the game dealing with our school system and our children?
I've been contemplating on it for a while. I've been thinking about it for a while. I really have, and it's been up and down, and the time is here, and so I've decided I'm a candidate for the school board member.
Now, what are some of your visions, Mr. C? Because I'm very glad to hear that we have some reputable people that's trying to step up, that has traveled throughout the country and have their hands in different avenues of life, especially agriculture. What are some of your visions if you were to gain that seat, Mr. Hill?
Odom, I would like to see a better education, maybe coming from a D school to at least a B school. I would like to see the teachers, because they are the ones that's involved with the children for 8 to 9 hours, with an increase in pay. The janitorials, an increase in pay. The bus drivers, increase in pay. I would like to see a rodeo team as well, because everybody's not going to make it in football, basketball, or baseball, but maybe they can make it in rodeo. So those are some of the things that I would like to see. Also, I don't know how we're going to do it, but I think it's in the need for a new school. And then along with the new school, I think it needs to be named Morehouse High School.
Right. And it's strange that you said that, because the next thing I was going to ask you, I know Denham played ball at Bear Spy, and Bear Spy is going up under some construction right now with a new turf field, and they won't be playing the first few weeks of the home games at home, but they'll be going to Delta, to your old alma mater. It's kind of a little flick in the air. You know how the Delta basketball thing was. I want you to kind of put that fire out, Mr. Hill, and tell us how you feeling about this momentous opportunity to go play at Delta High School.
I personally do not have a problem with it. Over time, things change. And if we don't change, that means we're going to get farther and farther behind. As a farmer, if I don't change, that means I'm going to get farther and farther behind. So I do not have a problem with Bastrop going down to Delta, playing on Delta's field, because I sure prefer to see them play a few games in Morehouse Parish than have to play all of them outside of Morehouse Parish. So I don't have a problem with them playing at Delta. I do not.
Well, kind of share the history of Delta, because I was explaining to people the other day, like, listen, man, Delta has a legitimate gripe. The culture down there, it wasn't school, it was family. Kind of share that with the people, this younger generation of basketball, that they really don't understand why people from Delta are still upset after 25 years. Tell us about that Delta experience, Mr. Hill.
Well, down at Delta, we was all out in the rural area, but when we came together as one, we were like family. We was close-knitted. Matter of fact, my class is still very close. So we was just a close-knitted big family. And whatever it was, whatever we was participating in, we was just very excited about it. And even the sports program, whatever it was, we was just very excited to be a part of Delta High School. And it was so bad that it was very difficult for us to give up Delta High School, even though I think we probably are better off over here at Bastrop. It was very difficult for us to give it up, honestly.
Right, and I was explaining to some associates that it was also it was hard for Union to give up the name Union and transcend to Delta. And I kind of feel Coach Bradshaw on, we need to take advantage of this, because it's some history and it's an energy that may be gained, and it's that spark to get us back to where we need to be. And people don't understand that Delta Morehouse has gone through a lot through the last 25 to 50 years. And people need to understand that we shouldn't put out a culture, but we should embrace that culture. So with that being said, Mr. C, how do you see us coming together as one and finally trying to put a fire out that's gotten out of control here in Bastrop, Louisiana?
Well, Odom, we need to come together. And as time goes on, change is going to occur. And we got to be able to embrace those changes. But hopefully, if we build a new high school, hopefully it'll be the parish high school. It won't be Bastrop High School, or it won't be Delta's high school. It will be the parish high school. And hopefully, I don't know, I might make somebody mad and I might not. Hopefully we can name it Morehouse Parish High School. I'm thinking that's going to clear up a lot of the emotions that maybe we all had.
Right, because it's showing kind of favoritism to the matter when you're not Bastrop High School anymore. You have kids from Morehouse, Colliston, Oak Ridge, Bonita, Jones, and throughout the parish. You're not Delta because Delta is no longer a high school. It's an elementary now, so the migration has finally come. So what you're saying, it may be just a simple thing as changing the name that'll change the game?
I'm saying that. And Odom, by no means that I'm a copycat. By no means. But Franklin Parish is Franklin High School. Union is not Farmerville High School. It's Union Parish High School. So, I mean, what else do we name it but Morehouse Parish High School? Because you got kids from Bonita, you got kids from Morehouse, you got kids from Colliston, you got kids from Oak Ridge. All of them coming to the same, and you're going to have kids from Bastrop. So what else would you name it but Morehouse Parish High School?
And I think, for lack of a better analogy, I think it's the rooster coming back to crow or the rooster coming back to roost. I think Bastrop afraid that they about to go through what Delta went through and lose their name. And this is going to go back before integration. I don't think it's the latter generation concerned about that school and the name. I think it stems back to what they did to Delta. And I think Bastrop alumni, the older alumni, pre you and me, I think they're afraid of that, and I think that's going to be a task, Brother C, for you to conquer.
Maybe so, Odom. That's just my opinion. I'm not going to be a conflict, one way or the other, but that's my opinion. If I was having to vote, I would vote for it to be named Morehouse Parish High School. I would. But I'm just one person. That's all.
Well, one last thing before we go, I want you to explain to the youth about the various ways with technology that they can take a path into this agriculture. Tell us about some of the technical ways that they can get involved with agriculture that you know of.
I named some jobs out there that is in demand for. Working at the USDA office. It's just general things. Being, very knowledgeable of the computer. Years and years ago, we used to row up. You used to make rows with additional piece of equipment on your hippers. Right now, you got your satellite, you got your monitors, you got your computer already on the tractor. All you got to do is push buttons. It's very important that you have some knowledge of the computers. Years ago, the mechanics used to come out and work on your tractor. Now they call them the technicians that's coming out and doing the repairs. So it's very important that you take aspects of learning as much as you can about the various computer rules and make sure you're up to date on all of that type of information, because everything is coming so technology involved. A lot of my equipment, man, I have to wait till dinner to come home to operate it, honestly.
Wow.
Right now, we in the midst of getting ready to cut corn, I don't want to drive. So, if my partner can't drive, I'm about to wait till them come home to harvest the crop.
Wow. And I know you're proud of your boys sticking in there with you, because they could run off the city and try to live that lavish life too, but they sticking there with their dad and trying to endure. Before we get out of here for the last 3 or 4 minutes, I just want you to explain to the youth about the need of education and those that may be inspiring to want to be farmers. Like you said, they rodeoing and doing different things. What advice do you have for them, Mr. Hill, before we go?
It's very important to get a good quality education, whether you're going to go in agriculture or whether you're going to go in another profession. It's very important to learn that as much as you can. Also, and this just applies to business in general, it's important that you have good credit. That's very important. In agricultural, we as African Americans might not have a rich uncle or a rich auntie say, here $100,000. Go buy some of the equipment that you need. So it's important that you have access where you can maybe go and try to borrow money. And one of those opportunities is if you have good credit. That's very important.
Right. Well, Mr. Hill, we were honored to have you. You're a true pioneer and legend in Morehouse Parish yourself. The things you have been able to accomplish at such a young age, and to farm so much land all these years and not give up on it. We wish you the best on your nomination qualification for the Morehouse Parish School Board. Anything that you need Immerse 360 to do before we go?
Just support me, Odom, and I'm not going to be able to see everybody, but if you know anybody in my district, just ask them if they think Odis Hill qualified for school board member. Go in on that date and pull the register for Odis Hill.
Well, Mr. Hill, we greatly appreciate you. We wish you the best on all your endeavors and hope we can get you back real soon. I'm your host, Maserati. This has been another episode brought to you by Involved Social Civic Club, Morehouse Parish Black Farmers Association, Stepping Stones LLC, and Burchell Family Insurance Agency. Hey, remember, y'all get encouraged, stay involved, and most of all, y'all stay immersed. We out of this thing.
I was raised in the ghetto. I've been to the bottom. Ain't nothing at the bottom for me. Only tell all my problems. Seems he can only solve it for me.